Welcome to another installment of an adventure with exploring with, with Jason. Today we're going to learn and, and talk about the history and the supernatural phenomena at High Glens Bridge here in Cuyahoga Falls. So if you're interested, come explore with me and walk with me as we learn about the history and possible paranormal of High Glens Bridge in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. During the Victorian era, the High Glens Bridge, or what used to be called the Prospect Street Bridge, which was at the time acted as a gateway to a large amusement park, and there would be about 8,000 people a day that would visit this area and the amusement park. Today, it is a nice park with a gazebo, and the entrance to the amusement park is right over there in that area, general vicinity. One thing you have to realize is that the amusement park that was here back in the Victorian era is not what you think of amusement parks today. The amusement park during the Victorian era were basically leisure activities and others. Unlike the amusement parks today, it consisted of thrill rides and other particular other things in a park, like a giant pavilion, a ballroom, and one of the earliest recorded roller coasters. Most of the people who spent most of their time at the amusement park down in the ravine, sitting along with nature, looking at the light show during the nighttime. Even though we touched on the amusement park, this video is what we will be talking about in the video, even though there is a connection to the bridge and the amusement park that consisted to the disaster that unfolded in 1918. The bridge itself has been known to several major accidents and disasters over the years. Records and reports tells us that people would jump over the bridge or driven on the bridge, whether it was on accident or other factors. With these accidents occurring on the bridge, nothing could compare for what was to come. And the High Bridge was connected to the two major events that would occur here and would change the lives of many people and the amusement park. With these events, other accidents, it is no wonder that there are spirits or supposed spirits hanging around this bridge. In modern day, State Route 8 sits behind the bridge, and it is in the main route that would head north and south of Summit County. Now, I want you to imagine yourself by closing your eyes and try to picture you're back in the Victorian era, when cars didn't exist and there was no highway to travel from different areas, and you had to figure out a way to travel to location and place. The bridge at the time, as you saw, was cut right through the other side of the river and up the street, which was Prospect Street, which hence the name, which the bridge was named at the time, Prospect Street Bridge. In May of 1883, Gus Schuler and Martha Klein were in the horse-drawn carriage that were coming to Cuyahoga Falls from Akron during the time that during the time the bridge was under repair, where the sections of the bridge were missing. The bridge was being repaired, and the workers set up barricades on both sides of the bridge to prevent any kind of accidents. It was nighttime when Gus and Martha were traveling back to Cuyahoga Falls, and unfortunately, they and their horse walked through the barricade, and the horse fell through the first hole, which was approximately quarter or possibly an eighth up the bridge, and the carriage that was carrying Gus and Martha fell right behind the horse. Unfortunately, nobody heard or knew about this accident that occurred until the next day. When a passerby was looking down and saw the horse, and first on a ledge within the ravine and the carriage itself. And when he noticed that when the passerby noticed this, he noticed that the horse was perched on a ledge of the ravine, and the carriage I was holding Martha and Gus was shattered to pieces. After this, the search party started, and they saw the horse. Like I said, the horse carriage was completely destroyed, and so the search party began. They tried to search for Martha and Gus for a week, and unfortunately, they were not able to find any signs of them. It would take the very next week when they discovered Martha's remains. It was down the river, but however, they were less fortunate to find Gus's body or any of his remains until a year later, in 1884, when they discovered the skull was basically, which is basically all they found of him. This first real tragedy would be the testament and foreshadowing of what yet is to come for the bridge. The second major tragic accident and disaster would happen 35 years later. But before I get into the tragic accident, let me give you some context. And in 1879, the local hardware, or let me give you some context of the history of the bridge. And in 1879, two local hardware store owners, L.W. Loomis and H.E. Parks, established a summer resort on Front Street and Prospect Avenue. The High Glen and the cave parks span both sides of the Cuyahoga River, and it featured, like I said, the ballroom, dining pavilion, scenic trails, and overlook. It also consisted of a cascade and a waterfall that with a deep cavern with a circus serious geological formation suspension footbridge. This park offers several man-made attractions, which included and is believed to be one of the first or the earliest roller coaster within the area. Like I said, it attracted over 8,000 people a day to this bridge. One of these people that came to the bridge is former 25th President of the United States, William McKinley. The park closed in the early 1900s, but years following after its closure, manufacturing job sites were constructed along the banks of the Cuyahoga River to harness its powers. This meant it would block public access to the river. In 2009, the current mayor, Don Walters, dedicated the bridge, which celebrated its importance to the residents of Cuyahoga Falls. The river was named one of the only 14 National Heritage River because of how uniquely shaped and flows from both north and south, beginning 15 miles from Lake Erie and it empties after a 100-mile journey. Now we'll get to the tragic accident. In June 11, 1918, this event occurred on Tuesday in the beautiful Tuesday afternoon on June 11, 1918, when a lion trolley that made its usual run. It was coming from where it was coming from, or to Cuyahoga Falls from Akron. And it was crossing the bridge when it was crossing the, or when it was crossing the bridge. And when it was crossing the bridge, the trolley stopped on the other side of the bridge at the depot, where they let the mother and her young child off. What meant there was only six remaining passengers left on the trolley. When the trolley made its left-hand turn to come across the bridge, and about halfway across the bridge, the front wheels of the trolley derailed, and the trolley turned sharply to the north, and the north side of the planks gave way, and the trolley went over and crashing into the ravine, flipping over and landing on its roof, smashing the trolley flat. It was assumed that everyone had died, and they were rescued, and there were rescue crews that came from local fire departments and tried to help and lift the remains of the trolley, and also the remains of the deceased of the river. However, to their surprise, they found out that there were only 2 survivors from the disaster. Leroy Bessemer, who was the motorman, and Henry Van Leusen, who was the attorney, both survived the crash when they were mistakenly as one of the deceased, and was put on the cart with them. It wasn't until a witness that was standing near the cart noticing movement within the cart. When the witness saw this, they called the doctor to their aid. Leroy suffered a head wound and a broken leg, while Henry suffered from a severe crushed skull. But thankfully, both men survived the tragic event. Both of them were taken to a local hospital and treated, eventually released. Good. However, the remaining four other passengers were not so lucky. All 4 of them perished within the disaster. It is said that the steel frame of the trolley was so badly damaged that it was basically worthless to anyone who wanted to make some sort of profit off of it. So they left it, and it wasn't used for anything. During the summertime, when the water levels are low enough, there at times you can still look in the river below of the bridge, and you can still see the remains of the trolley. Since the bridge is over the Cuyahoga River, the sound of the river, which would create this white noise, or just a river by itself. The paranormal investigators or paranormal enthusiasts would call this a paranormal or prime real estate for the paranormal activities. When investigators investigate this location, they would capture EVPs, or they're known as electrical voice phenomena, which is basically a handheld recorder that records, in theory, a spirit voice, or a spirit or a voice that would capture it. One of the investigators or other investigators would capture a voice or voices on their EVP saying, "Get help," or "Look," or "Hello," or "Help me." Other people have also reported seeing an apparition of a man wearing a top hat, which seems to be appropriate because of the time period of the amusement park or the disaster. So, is it haunted? Do you think this area is a hot place for paranormal activity? What do you guys think? I never personally investigated here, but it's very pretty here. So, but I'll leave that up to you guys to debate and have a good discussion about this. But until next time, I look forward to seeing you on the next adventure.